Diablo 4 dungeons are getting a big update. Every class gets buffs and nerfs and new gameplay.
Okay, so yes, we just got by far one of the biggest updates about what's happening with Diablo 4. Yes, dungeons are going to be receiving a very big overhaul. We're going to be talking about new changes to every single class based on beta feedback. This all comes from a brand new IGN interview with Blizzard. As Diablo 4, Blizzard is making a ton of changes based on player feedback.
That's really good. We were wanting them to make changes upon player feedback, and I'm actually glad they're doing it.
Players have been listened to. So I say we get straight into this and see if there's any truth to that. So it says this right here. Minimizing backtracking. The first thing changing is dungeon layouts, with Blizzard saying one of the most common pieces of feedback it received was around backtracking within certain dungeons. Multiple dungeons have since been optimized to reduce this, including Cauldron Gate, Defiled Catacombs, Derelict Lodge, Forbidden City, Hoarfrost Demise, Immortal Emanation, Core Dragon Badox, Mallwood, and Rhymescar Cavern. So yeah, it seems like they're having to go in individually and adjust the actual layouts. I was not expecting them to even touch the layouts whatsoever. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're touching the layouts as well, because like this was something I too was complaining about, was the dungeon layouts and backtracking and all that stuff. I just find it irritating and annoying, and I also hate the fact that they were making you kill everything in the dungeon to even progress.
Maybe they would do that post-launch. So I'm kind of curious.
Isn't there another open beta coming up? I'm not 100% sure about that, Chubby.
To see what
I haven't heard anything on it.
The end result will be of this. Furthermore, the article goes on to say this: our primary goal with the layout changes was to reduce certain kinds of backtracking which detract from a player experience, Blizzard said. Structure objectives that previously existed down side paths have now been repositioned to the main area. For example, this should be really good for min-maxing strategies, of course. Now, of course, we have this one right here. Dungeon events will also occur much more frequently in the final version, as Blizzard has increased the chance for an event to spawn in dungeons from 10% to 60%. Quality of life improvements were also made, such as removing the wait time when depositing an animus, increasing movement speed when carrying ancient statues and equivalent items, and adding a mini-map ping to newly opened doors.
Maybe I confused it for the last open beta we had. Right, maybe. Yeah, because we had two like a week apart.
So yeah, these quality of life changes, in my opinion, do really matter, and it's cool to see that's all being implemented. Furthermore, it says, while our dungeons offer a variety of objectives to complete, player feedback stated that the action of completing each objective felt tedious. We hope that providing bonuses such as increased mobility.
Because with the backtracking, like I said, you had to kill every single thing in the dungeon. Like, tell me who enjoyed that. Tell me who enjoyed missing like a bat at the beginning of the dungeon. You have to walk all the way back just to kill that one stupid fucking bat just to progress through the dungeon.
While carrying certain objective items will streamline and vary the experience of completing objectives. This adjustment is merely a starting point, and we intend to extend this philosophy to keys in a future update. So yeah, further updates will be happening even after these changes are implemented. Now, what about sellers? Sellers are also changing. Goes on to say,
I'm glad sellers are changing too. That actually is really surprising, because you'd walk into a cellar and it'd be the same layout every time, and it's always just one mob with maybe a slightly like mini boss, and that was it.
The sellers have seen some similar changes, as Blizzard has increased the chance for a dungeon event to occur in cellars. They also now consistently reward players with a chest upon completion. Issues have also been fixed where sellers would prematurely be marked as completed, and the guaranteed elite monster would be absent from the cellar. So,
okay, well, I haven't seen
cool.
that, but
honestly, sellers also need a change in the look and layout as well, because that's one of the redundant elements of the cellar, at least for me.
Yeah,
we need to vary that a little bit more. So hopefully they
100% agree.
Updates as well. All right, so yeah, let's talk about this one right here. It says classes are also changing.
This is the big one, chat.
Classes too. The barbarian has received a passive 10% damage reduction. Its whirlwind skill now deals more damage and costs more fury. And the double swing enhancement refunds its full fury cost when used on stunned or knocked down enemies. That last one sounds especially useful. Now, what about the druid? It goes on to say this: companion skills will now deal heavily increased damage.
That's
All
good.
alternate skills have had their cooldowns reduced. The usability of Maul and Pulverize has been improved, and using a non-shape-shifting skill will now transform a druid back to their human form.
Now, my question is, did they increase the speed of the druid and the barbarian? That I'm not so sure about, but I really hope they did, just by a little bit, because honestly, the druid and the barbarian felt super clunky and slow to me.
So we're headed in the right direction at the very least with the druid. That sounds like a complete buff right there. We'll see if they have to fine-tune that even more. He was a weakling for sure. Now, the necromancer, what about him? Summoned minions will die more often, meaning players will need to utilize corpses more often.
Yep, so in other words, necromancer getting a debuff.
Meanwhile, many Book of the Dead stat bonuses have been increased. The corpse explosion skill has had its damage reduced. Now, that one kind of makes me sad. Because I love that, you know, being completely OP with that. But anyway, it says, and the brightness of skeletal warriors and mages has been lowered. So they've adjusted that based on feedback that some of you just did not like the look of the skellies. So some of you actually did. This is going to be an interesting one to see how you all respond to that. Honestly, I'm hoping to have further customization options for the...
Well, I felt like with the skeletons, like, they all kind of blended in with the color, right? The color that you're using for your attack too. So it was kind of like hard to identify things, because there's, say you get so many skeletons together, and it was kind of hard to like pinpoint where certain enemies were at times, just depending on how big of your skelly army you had.
Actual skellies, I think that would be really cool to be able to customize your army. Now we have the rogue. As the rogue subterfuge skill has had their bonuses increased alongside multiple passive skills, while all imbuement skills have had their cooldowns increased. So it's like a combination of nerfs and buffs, it seems, for the rogue right there. Sound off? You agree with them or not?
I don't know about the rogue.
Let's continue onward. It says, finally, the sorcerer's charged bolt damage has been increased and the mana cost reduced. Chain Lightning's damage has been reduced, and the cooldown of the Incinerate skill's enchantment bonus has also been reduced. Firewalls will also now spawn underneath enemies more frequently when using its enchantment bonus, and the lucky hit chance has been increased for the Meteor skill's enchantment bonus. Right, so a lot of stuff going on there with the sorcerer. Now, it says...
I definitely say the necromancer and the sorcerer were the two strongest classes in the game when we did the beta. Let me know your guys' thoughts on that.
When we introduce changes to our classes, it is with the goal of making both of them and their skills feel impactful and powerful, Blizzard said. Your feedback has helped us uphold this ideal. Furthermore, they say some players have adeptly noticed that certain skills were too powerful. One of our goals for skills is to have them be interesting to wield and interactive in terms of itemization and combat build. We've made some changes to help in this regard, with one example being the Necromancer's minions. We've made a change that makes them more vulnerable in combat, which will make Raising the Dead a more active component of the Necromancer's gameplay.
That's kind of cool, because, like, yeah, they're more easily killable, but at the same time, you get to use your ability more, you know what I mean? It's not just, like, every once in a while. So you're kind of more interactive with the Necromancer than previously. Sorcy was super OP, absolutely. From what I've seen, I didn't get to the chance to actually play Sorcy.
Launch is just the first step of our class balance journey, and you can expect further updates that iterate on this pillar of Diablo 4. That's an interesting change with the minions, because when I was facing off against the Butcher, I was constantly raising an army to just, you know, overwhelm him. So it was kind of fun. It made it more active. So I kind of actually get where they're coming from with that sort of change. So let's see how you all actually adapt to that change when it comes to the Necromancer, who is by far one of my go-to classes. I'm thinking about maining him in the full version.
Chubby,
right, so
that's funny.
So there's some other things here. A better quality of life. This Blizzard is making further quality of life changes alongside fixing a ton of known issues in Diablo 4, like the Butcher boss becoming unresponsive. Yikes, I never went through that one. Now it says, a lot of these changes are coming to the game's user interface as Blizzard is shifting things around to allow for a better experience. Okay, this should be interesting. Now let's keep scrolling down here. Furthermore, it says, this starts with the chat box now being displayed on the left side of the screen when using the centered action bar configuration. A character's stats will also now be displayed by default when players click the materials and stats button within their inventory, while the move and interact inputs can now be mapped to one button, while the primary attack input is mapped to a secondary button. Finally, the text is being changed to a new serif font. Yeah, that was one of the biggest complaints with the UI, is like people were like, this just does not match the look and feel of what Diablo is. Please change that. So it looks like,
I mean, I could really care less about the font of the game. Honestly, I was more concerned with the gameplay and the layout versus text font. But I mean, if they went ahead and changed that, that's cool too.
they're really like in tuned to the feedback here, which is cool to see. All right, furthermore, it says Blizzard will discuss these changes and more in a developer update live stream taking place on April 20th at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time. Now, Game Director Joe Shelley, Associate Game Director Joseph Papara, and Associate Director of Community Adam Fletcher will also share details about the end game. All right, so that's cool. Now, the betas that were a struggle to even join for some people for both KFC and queue time related issues saw the Sorcerer and Necromancer's classes played the most, a total of 46 bajillion hours. Deaths were recorded in total in more than 60 million hours of play. So, yeah, a lot of playtime there, of course, between the Necromancer and the Sorcerer. I myself, again, really loved the Necromancer. I need more time with the Sorcerer, though. Let me tell you what, and the Rogue.
I honestly didn't play any of those three classes, the Rogue, the Sorcerer, or the Necromancer, which I'm kind of bummed out about, honestly, since they were like the top three best classes out of the 5 we got. I ended up playing the 2 worst classes during the beta, but at least I was able to play them, try them out, and give my input on definitely what they need to fix with those, so maybe that helped a little, I don't know.
I was all about, just to be honest with you, I was all about Necromancer and Barbarian. I just fell in love with those classes despite some of the controversy around the Barbarian. So yeah, some really cool stuff going on with Diablo 4 today.
I think that they're doing a lot with the changes made to Diablo 4. I think this is gonna really turn out to be a great game, and the fact that they're actually listening to their viewership and their audience says a lot about the game in general. Whereas like Activision with Warzone 2, look how that turned out. Hey guys, if you like the video, make sure you head over to the page, hit that like button, scroll over, smash that subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notified for future video drops, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.